Hello and welcome to the latest episode of Weekend Winners in association with BetVictor. This is your go-to show for your best bets ahead of the weekend. And after a brilliant week at the Cheltenham Festival, we are back previewing more action at Newbury, Kelso and Bangor. And I'm going to be previewing these races in my usual company of Declan Ricks of AtTheRaces.com and Sam Boswell of BetVictor. So Declan, I trust you had a good week last week.
Yeah, it was a great week. Cheltenham's always a great week. Win, lose or draw. Shouting and roaring at the telly is good crack. Yeah, mega week, delivered in spades, didn't it? You know, not really a story guy, but there's lots of stories there to talk about. The story is always the horse for me, but yeah, it was a great 4 days.
Yeah, so as you say, you're pushing sentiment, sort of bringing it in for once. But in terms of a personal highlight, though, for you?
Personal highlight, Il Fabiolo, Constitution Hill. Probably they're not going to go to the Gold Cup, Galopin des Champs. I was debating about whether he would stay the trip. He proved he stayed it very strongly. A well-run race, the best chaser in Britain, the best chaser in Ireland, jumping the last together, clear of a good horse and Conflated. It delivered in spades. I will not ever doubt Galopin des Champs again. What a horse.
Yep, never doubt the Galopin. Sam, in terms of betting, good week for you?
Personally, yeah, it came out just about in front, and as did the firm as well. It was quite an interesting week. The first 2 days very much in favour of people that like the shorter price favourites. I myself got plenty wrong. Honeysuckle, a personal highlight to see her win, but completely got that wrong. It was great to see her back, and it came in that real golden hour. We had Constitution Hill as well. What a brilliant sort of story narrative that set up the week, really. And it reached beyond the wider sport. People that watch this show, we watch it week in, week out, racing, but it's great to see racing get onto the back pages and pick up that press attention. Other highlights, I'll give a shout to You Wear It Well, not just because we tipped the horse up on this show, but because Jamie Snowden, Gavin Sheen, BetVictor ambassadors, work really hard, as do a lot of people in the sport. But when you see them up close and how much goes into it, 9 years since Jamie's last festival winner, it meant an awful lot to them.
Yeah, and well done for yourself as well for tipping her up. I must tip my hat to you for that one, because I did not see that one coming to fruition, to be totally honest with you, Sam. But like I say, that golden hour, I've never experienced an atmosphere like it on the track ever in my life. And I feel like it was an absolute privilege to be there in person, just to witness it. It was out of this world. So yeah, a fantastic week that we all managed to enjoy last week. Now, again, we always say it every single week, but please do remember to gamble responsibly. Our tips are not guaranteed to win, but we will still do our best to point you in the right direction. And do also remember to like and subscribe to the At The Races YouTube channel so you never miss an episode. Right, let's crack on with the action, because we begin at Newbury. This is the run for your money at BetVictor handicap chase at Newbury at 2:05. We have lots of familiar names in this race. So Declan, would you like to kick us off, please?
Yeah, it's going to be a good race, this. I think you're going to need to jump well and travel well, because it looks like there's going to be a bit of pace on the Big Bite, Numator, Honor de Jonc and Zaguli. They all kind of like to go forward or race prominently. So yeah, it's gonna be a good race, this. I just thought I was going through my notes and the replays and that, and every time I came back to Helsenham, I was like, one soft ground and a strong gallop to bring out the very best in him. He's a strong traveller, this 6-year-old, taking defences really well. Jumping is improving. At the start of the year, he could make a very bad error. Probably likes to do things his own way, has his own style of jumping, and is probably best left alone kind of at some of his obstacles. But I just think the race sets up really well for him. Soft ground. Newbury have had plenty of rain this week. Strong gallop. I hope Harry Skelton rides him with loads of confidence, lets him travel away and pop away, and he can pick up the pieces. Takes on, you know, a good few horses in here that are exposed, although kind of the older brigade do tend to do well in this race historically, but the Skeltons have done really well this season, targeting horses at big races. We saw it last week again at Cheltenham, and I just think this race sets up very well for him. 4-1 there we saw with our friends at BetVictor. Probably as low as I'd like to go, because it is a step up in class for him. But yeah, I think he is the most likely winner. Hopefully get us off to a good start.
So Cheltenham withdrawal symptoms for you. So yes. Cheltenham without the sea. Going for Heltenham then
yes.
for Declan. Sam, who are you siding with?
Riders on the Storm for me. When I went through this race, I think it's fascinatingly competitive, and you can make compelling cases for a lot of them. But I went back to the start of the season, his first run in the Old Roan. Obviously had Hitman and Garlaw behind. Both of them, I think, have advertised their abilities throughout the season. And he then went back to Aintree and ran a kind of a nothing race, you know, pretty disappointing. He got put up a little bit for that win, but I think it was just fair to say you can put a line through it. Then back at Ascot, he finished 7th in what was a really warm race. I seem to recall you tipped the winner, Cap.
Oh, thank you so much.
I had the
tell him to do that.
I had the second that day, Kate. That's why I can remember it. But yeah, and since then, I just think he's kind of the type of horse. He's back down to his mark now, and I'm really, really keen on his chances. I think Richard's going really well, the trainer as well. I think something like 3 seconds and a winner from his last six runners, so no concerns there. And I thought at 6-1, he was kind of a price where I'd have a bit of a stab.
Okay then, yeah, well, good reasoning made as well, and as we've just saw on the video there, he can cope with softer conditions as well, as you know, Riders on the Storm. Now, I am siding with a horse I used to ride every day, actually, when he was
inside information, eh, Kate?
Well, it can be a blessing and a curse, having insider information, I think, but the Big Bite, I used to ride this horse every day, and, he's great crack, because 95% of the time, he was the nicest ride in the world. And then he just bury you for no apparent reason. But he's just a proper scorpion in lots of ways. He knows his own mind. But gosh, he hasn't half got some back class. And even working him back in the day, he worked like a dream. And he's so ground versatile because he's got this wonderful fluid stride. So he works for better ground, but also softer conditions with that knee lift. He's absolutely fine on them as well. And I think his price is a bit insulting. I'd say, I know he's a horse you can't implicitly trust. He showed that last time out where he got the first time cheek pieces on, yet he was still idling in front on the run. And I thought, Bitey, do not give this away now. But back over the same course of distance, that Greatwood Gold Cup is a great race to cite the winner for this race. It's a really good indicator. £4 rise. He was value for more than the headwind last time out. So I'm all in on my old mate Bitey to hopefully double up. So Big Bite for me. Sam?
Riders on the Storm for me.
And Declan?
It's going to be Heltenham for me, please.
Oh, perfect. Right. Oh, we're all in disagreeing then on that race. Hopefully that helps you put you in the right direction somewhat, but do leave your own selections in the comments below. We always like to hear from you. Right, we're going to move on to our next race out. This is again from Newbury. This is the Grade 2 British EVF BetVictor National Hunt Mares Novices Hurdle, a limited handicap at 240. Right, I think I've managed to cram every word in the racing dictionary into that race title. Sam, but who wins this lengthy title contest?
Yeah, this is... It's a really good race, this one. When you look through the cards, I think it's fiercely competitive. Plenty in here, I thought, potentially have been trying to get that better ground, which Newbury, for once, aren't going to have. It is going to be that bit softer, as Declan's already mentioned, with the significant rain. So I kind of like the look of Royal Dance, and it was a slightly bigger price when I looked at the horse. And one thing you can say is we'll go on the ground. Won a fairly nothing hurdle at Hexham as a novice, and those conditions at least tick the box that I feel comfortable in taking the horse here on softer ground. I also think... You look at the run last time, there was a few fiddly errors in there. He got beat at Fosslas. She got beat at Fosslas, I should say, and just didn't really run her race. That was a small field affair. I think this big field will really play to her strengths, and I think she can probably outrun her price, and I definitely see her in the frame and potentially a winner at a big price. Oh,
perfect. So a bigger price than Sam's citing. Declan, where are you looking?
Yeah, I'm going to go for Ruby Island here. I think that there's a bit of a theme running through all the selections for me this week in terms of horses wanting and going to get pace. There looks an awful lot of pace on in this race. It's going to be run at a strong gallop, and I just think this mare has been crying out for that kind of scenario. She did get it in her first couple of starts over hurdles earlier in the season, where she jumped well and she travels well. But last time out at Wetherby, when she stepped up in trip, it was just all of a mess for her. The race fell terribly for her. She was far too keen off a slack gallop, but she still nearly won the race, to be fair to her, under a penalty from a horse who's been progressive for the Josh Guerrero and Oliver Green yard this year. A yard going really well. I just think this race sets up really well for her. Lots of pace on in here. She's not the easiest now. She needs delivering late, so Jamie Hamilton's going to have to be pretty brave on her. But they've got the first time cheek pieces on her, because I think when she gets to the front, she just idles. You know, she could have any amount up her sleeve, but she just needs that strong gallop to run at. She's going to get it here. A little bit of a worry is the softer ground. She's by Trans Island there, the presenting mare. That cross has worked for soft ground winners in the past. Nell's Son is one horse who's thrived on soft ground, so I'm hoping she'll be okay on it. But as I said, the key really is the strong gallop for her. Hope Jamie Hamilton rides her with loads of confidence and just lets her travel through the field and come and pick up the pieces late.
Good on the pedigree stats again, to be fair. get there. I like that a lot. So we always rely on you for that angle. And that was a very compelling case made then for the Trans-Island crossover about her chances. Now, to be fair, I mean, the market shows us itself just how wide open this contest is. Currently 7-1 bar is just quite something. So I was looking at the horses at bigger prices just because I think it is wide open. So my horse isn't even on our betting screen. Evanello within this contest. Now, this horse, she was a bumper winner, one of her 3 bumper starts as well as one of her 3 hurdle starts. Her win over hurdles came on her debut in that sphere. But then last time out, she was just undone by the pace, really. She got done for a turn of foot at the second last. She then flattened the last at Carlisle, but all she did was stay on in the finish. It was far better than her penultimate start, where she just wasn't helped by the fact they had 3 omitted hurdles in the home straight at Plumpton. Last time out, she had that better jumping test, more of a stamina test as well. Yet she's getting an extra 1 furlong here as well. I think that should all play to her strengths. She's a big price for me, Evanello, on this handicap Davy. Looks as though she's on a fair price for this fair mark for this opening and a handicap as well. So Evanello for me. Declan?
Ruby Island for me, please.
And Sam?
Royal Dance for me.
Perfect. Right, we will move on to our next race. Now, we do have another mares contest up now, this time up at Kelso, though, because this is the BetVictor Herring Queen Series Final Mares Novices Handicap Hurdle at 3 o'clock. BetVictor are sponsoring enough of these races on Saturday, aren't they, Declan? But who wins this one?
They are. Sam is splashing the cash at the moment, isn't he? To be fair to BetVictor, and we should say this as well on Newbury being kind of criticised for prize money in the last few seasons. You know, the prize money is good there. You know, those mares in the last race, I think, the winner's running for 26 grand. So that is big prize money. So fair play to everyone involved there, including our mate Sam here. But yeah, again, this is another race that looks like it's going to be running at a decent gallop. Jane de Burley, Midnight Shuffle, who's going to be sporting first-time cheek pieces and never no trouble, like to get on with things. And I just think, again, this race is going to set up really nicely for autumn return. Ruth Jefferson Yard going well at the moment. Of previous Irish point-to-point mare, this mare, she's been in good form, taken to hurdles well this season. As you can see there, she sports a sheepskin noseband, but she maybe can carry her head a little bit high sometimes. But she is generous off the bridle. She travels well, jumps well. I just thought the last time at Newcastle when she ran, it was a tactical race. She got a little bit outpaced at the top of the straight into a stiff headwind that day as well, and she didn't get any cover throughout in that race. I think this race is going to set up nicely for her, lots of pace for her to run at. Kelso's last meeting here, their big meeting of the year, lots of horses were finishing tired on the hurdles track and the chase track as well. You do need to stay around here if they go a good gallop, and I just think this race sets up nicely for her. So yeah, it's going to be the Ruth Jefferson Yard here to hopefully get us another winner. OK, Jefferson Yard then for Declan. Sam, where are you looking?
Walk of no shame, and I've got no shame putting this horse up each way at around.
Oh, there is no shame.
Yeah, there really isn't.
Not that I can talk, but
I think this horse just needs to relax a little bit more to be seen at her best. Previously, last time out, Winter Canton, she got beat at a very short price, and just perhaps doesn't relax into her races. You'll see she's quite warm actually in the graphic you're seeing there, and that's not uncommon. Her last 2 starts, she has been noticeably quite sort of sweaty, and I just want her to see her relax a little bit. And I wonder if a bigger field here compared to where she was last time will help with that. I think the opening mark of 107 is definitely workable for a team that certainly know how to win handicaps, and she's just been a bit green. I'm really hopeful that this sort of field will bring out a bit more from her, and 10-1 just looked at a bit of an each-way steal with the 9 runners.
Yes, exactly. Like I said, to be fair, when I'm talking about each-way prices, I cannot talk too much, and when you're putting up a 10-1 shot each way, I think that is very fair. Now, I'm also with Autumn Return here as well, because I really respect Bonte, but I'm happy to let her win at her current price because of her jumping frailties. I still think she probably wants more of a test of stamina than the 2 miles. I know it's Kelso, but just because of those slight question marks I have over her, she might well be thrown in off of this mark, but not quite for me. So, but I also don't think this is the strongest of contests. So I'm looking at those towards the head of the weights, and Autumn Return is one of those, who was such a good winner of her penultimate start at Catterick. Then last time out, handicap debut, really well supported, and I think she ran accordingly to that strong market support as well. But she was just unfortunate to bump into a Crawford horse who was sent across the Irish Sea, doubling up on Northern Raids as well then for that particular horse. But she's running off the same mark here, £5 off of her back though, very good jockey on her back to take the claim off. So for me, she just looks very, very well treated here, and if she runs to the form of last time out, then that should be good enough to win. So just to reiterate, Sam?
I'm going to go for a walk of no shame.
And Declan?
It's the blind leading the blind with me and you, Autumn Return.
Exactly. I won't say which one went first and which one's a follower, but yeah, hopefully we will get one on the board and for the pair of us two with Autumn Return. Now, we are heading to Bangor up next because we have a handicap hurdle over 2 mile, 3.5 furlongs at 3:08, where trainer Donald McCain has a very strong hand in this race with 3 in this. Now, Sam, not to give anything away, but we do have a certain level of agreement in this.
Yeah, I'll keep my argument short so I don't take all of the thunder on this one. But we're really keen here, aren't we, on what is on paper the second favourite. I think Jungle Jack. And I kind of came down on this, Brian Hughes probably had the choice in this race and he's ended up on this horse who currently isn't the favourite at time of recording, which surprised me. I think there's plenty to like about him. He arrives here fit in comparison to the stablemate, and I just think the level of form he brings to the table should be enough to at least feature or be involved in the finish. He's been dropped £2 for the second at Newcastle, where I think the winner perhaps just got the run of the race there. Again, it was another small field race. A lot of the stuff I've been looking at seems to be that horses that have come from those small fields into something slightly stronger pace should be set, which I think will suit. But I'm interested to hear why you guys agree with me.
Declan, you're up.
Yeah, I like him. As we saw there on the video playing, he's a big, flashy chestnut. He's only 7-year-old. He's probably taken a bit of time to come to himself. I think as the years go on, he's probably still going to keep getting better and better. I think his form is good. That the horse that beat him the last day, Strainsby Girl at Newcastle, she's gone on to win again. I just thought she, as Sam pointed out, she had the run of the race and just had a little bit more gears in him. That was also his first run, I think, in 57 days. So, and he shaped a little bit better than the distance beaten as well. I thought he got quite tired late. I think he'll come forward for that. The cheek pieces are interesting as well. That might just eke out an extra little bit of improvement. I thought he was pretty straightforward. Maybe raced a little bit behind the bridle. But if they do bring out a bit of improvement, he'll go well. He just does a lot right. I think he's going to be a good chaser next year. Maybe you want to crab him a little bit. Does jump a little bit left, but I think the race is going to set up nicely for him. And Brian Hughes, who obviously would have had the selection choice in this race, he's chosen to ride him. So yeah, that will do for me.
Right, tag me in. Right, I'm up next to hopefully bring up the hat-trick of compelling reasons after you've both done a stellar job of saying why Jungle Jack is going to win this, even though he's not gone off as a favourite. But it's really, I was toying with this race over and over because I just wanted to side with the favourite. But you cannot get away from the fact that Brian Hughes is siding with Jungle Jack here in these first-time cheek pieces. Because, to be fair, we know that Manila Trump, he can go well fresh, but we also think that he has the bigger targets down the way. But if he goes and wins this, and he wins us off of his reduced mark here, then I will probably kick myself. But at the same time, I think that all the stars might just finally align for Jungle Jack then within this, because I don't think there's much wiggle room off of this mark all the same, even with the fact he was given £2 back for last time out. But he was done for pace last time out. That was over 2 mile 1, and he was giving £10 to the eventual winner as well. So he has come down £2, as I say, in the weights here. The extra stamina should really play to his strengths. Booking of Brian Hughes and the cheek pieces as well. Hopefully everything will just come together and it will go Jungle Jack's way finally. So no real point in reiterating our selections because we're all with Jungle Jack basically, so I'm not even going to bother asking the lads then for their selections. Now we're going to move over to the Sky Pad where I'm going to get the lads' best bets for the weekend. Now it's time to reveal our best bets for the weekend. So this is our nap, our next best and our long shot. So Declan, starting with yourself, please, your 3 best bets.
Yes, we've already touched on 2 of those. The nap's going to be Jungle Jack, who we just discussed about 2 minutes ago. So yeah, I think the race is going to set up nicely for him. First time cheek pieces, comes in here fresher than some of the market leaders and looks a young progressive horse. Autumn Return, we've also touched on. I think she's a cracking each way bet. Again, the race sets up nicely for her. She's a mare who's going to stay strong, plenty of pace in the race. Ruth Jefferson does well at Kelso, and Patrick Wadge is having a good season for a £5 claimer as well. And then the long shot, we didn't discuss this one, but we discussed the race. I think this lad is overpriced, Eden Who needs soft ground. He's going to get it, and he needs a little bit of pace to run at. He's been in good order for the most of the season. Won at Foss last, bolted up at the start of the season, which of course was live on Sky Sports Racing. Found the competition a little bit too tough on New Year's Day at Cheltenham, but back in Camera Waters the last time at Sandown, he ran well. He was closing down Seguli really well at the line. Stays well, this horse. He's £2 better off, I think, for a half a length he was beaten by. and I think Newbury's going to suit him well. Does jump a little bit right, but I think with the kind of basically 2 long straights at Newbury, I'm hoping he can get away with it. What I did like about him when he pulled up at Sandown, though, he looked a fresh horse, pricked his ears, looked like he could have gone again, and he stayed on. So just looks a horse in good order for the pipe yard, with Fergus Gillard taking off 3.
Yes, it's siding with the claimers then this weekend. Claims to be utilised well, but like I say, you're so spot on about the soft ground for him. Should suit him so much better than the quicker conditions he's faced this season. Sam, yourself, please.
Well, I mean, it's the start of the flat, Kate. We haven't even mentioned it, have we?
No.
The flat action returns. So I kind of felt compelled to try and find the hardest flat race as possible to find my nap in, which is George Bowie's Totally Charming, who heads over to the Curragh, the big handicap there on Saturday. 2 UK raiders, prominent. It's like reverse of National Hunt racing. It's really interesting.
Yeah, we can boast about this.
Yeah, but Totally Charming for me, the reason I really like this horse is we know he's going to handle the conditions. He won on the last day of the flat season at Doncaster and 7 furlong handicap on bottomless ground. We're going to get similar conditions at the Curragh. George has spoken this week about the importance of globetrotting. He had a winner at Chantilly in the week. He's got runners out in the Middle East, and I'm really impressed by sort of how upwardly mobile he's been in his sort of early training career. He's not afraid to go and take a horse on. I think the horse will be about 5-6 to 1, which in a big handicap maybe looks a bit skinny, but I just really think he's got a great chance. And Colin Keane booked, and you'd like to think Colin Keane, obviously such a brilliant jockey over in Ireland, he'd probably have had the choice of at least 10 in this race, and he's managed to pick up Colin. So I think that's a great shout. Riders on the Storm we've already spoken about. I think that mark looks like one to try and exploit for him, and I think it's a competitive race, but I'm fairly confident he can go well for a yard. They're ticking over nicely. And then my long shot, which we haven't spoken about, is Atlanta Brave in the opening race that we sponsor at Newbury. Really interesting, this horse, and I think is good value for going up just a little bit for the win at Hereford last time out. A couple of wins have come on soft ground as well. Kerry Lee knows how to train these horses that like kind of those softer conditions as well. And I think he's a really interesting prospect, and I had him in my tracker.
And another BetVictor sponsored race. You are chucking everything at it. I don't know how you're going to do the Newbury Kelso.
Splitting myself in 2
exactly,
this weekend,
yeah.
Kate.
If only there was 2, Sam, then we'd all be delighted. But my own best bets then for this weekend, my nap. Now, I found it really tricky to nail down an okay price, confident selection given the handicaps that we have on offer. So instead, I'm playing it safe. I'm going with Bollinger and Krug as my nap in the 4:45 at Kelso, a horse who really came good when reverted to fences last time out. And he just looked a different animal to the one who sort of hadn't really jumped fences on his previous attempts over the larger obstacles, but winning over this course and distance, he jumped well to win, so he can defy the £8 rise for that success back over the same track and trip. My next bet is the Big Bite in the 2:05 at Newbury. So in Bitey, I trust on Saturday that he's going to pull his finger out again over the same course and distance as his Greatwood Gold Cup success. Cheek piece is refitted, and my long shot actually comes in a race we discussed earlier on. This is a 2:40 at Newbury, the Grade 2 Mares and Novices Hurdle. So not actually that much of a bigger price than my actual selection for that race, admittedly. But it's Passionate Pursuit for Alan King and Tom Cannon, a mare who should really have won her penultimate start when in seating at Wincanton, but she was going best at the time. She didn't back up her first 2 hurdle efforts last time out, but she's been given a feasible opening handicap mark, a race that I don't think is the strongest renewal either, so she might just be worth chancing to outrun her price. So that is everything from us on this week's show. Big thank you to Declan and to Sam for all of their hard work, as per usual. Thank you so much to you for watching. Please do leave us a comment below with your best bets, all of your selections ahead of the weekend. Remember, you can keep up to date with all of the racing on the attheraces.com website, as well as the At The Races app. We'll be back next week where the flat is back properly. We'll be looking ahead to Doncaster where we have the Lincoln. So we look forward to catching up with you then.